get zero at the table, man, all kinds of shit breaks loose.
Pick me, pick me.
Zero's at the table, you gotta be careful. Tons of shit breaks loose, baby.
Greetings, humans, and welcome back. I'm Joey Pigtails, and this is episode 35, where I'm going to be going through some Hold'em hands that I played on Wednesday, March 5th, as a warm-up session for the influencer game I played on Saturday, March 8th at Orange City Racing and Card Club. Yeah, they invited this guy right here. I never exactly thought of myself as an influencer, but I suppose that fits. Set the example and be a good human, I always say. The influencer game is going to premiere on Orange City's YouTube page on Thursday, March 13th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be online during the premiere and interacting with you in the YouTube chat, so join me in the fun. I had a great time playing with the likes of Jason Bailey from the BS, Kyle Fischel, Sergio, also known as GoPro Poker, Ice from the Snap Call podcast, who will be commentating on Thursday. This guy is always a pleasure. Nicole, who will also be commentating on Thursday. 777 Poker, and of course Teddy, who put a few of us in some spots along the way. I won't spoil any details right now, but next week's vlog I will be going over the hands from the stream to tell you why all that happened like that, and my thoughts in those big spots. For today's video, this was a 1-2 No Limit Holdem session where I attempt to navigate a small stakes game where people are playing pretty face up. I bought in for the $300 maximum, but only a couple people have that or more. Let's get into it. This is the first hand at this table, and before we get started, I want to talk a bit about what I saw when I sat down. This table looks super tight and nitty. See that chip stack up there on the right, all neat and stuff? That's a telltale sign of a player not playing many hands, so if they do play one, be careful. I do have two younger kids on my left. Yeah, I called them kids, so maybe they will give me some action. Anywho, I look down at pocket sevens and open at $10, which immediately gets comments like, "The action has arrived." I get 3 calls to a flop of 3, 4, 10 rainbow. I'm out of position here, so I check, and it's check through. Is this a C-bet 4 ways? The turn is a king, not good. I check, and it's check through again. Okay then. The river is a 6, and I thought about betting here, but I check, and the kid on my left bets $5. It's folded to me, and I pay him off to see I'm actually good here. He had pocket 5s. Cool. Here's my first premium. There's a limp, then a raise to $5. Nah, I make it 20, and just the limper calls. On a Queen Jack 5 2-spade flop, I have everything here, and it's check to me. I feel if I bet here, I'm not getting any more value, so I check for deception. The turn is another spade, and now my opponent grabs some chips in hand and then checks. I need to get some value, and it looked like $25 in hand there, so I put out a green chip, and those 5 red chips go in the pot. The river is the 7 of diamonds, and now my opponent leads for $50, verbally announcing it. I beat her into the pot here with a call, and I know it seems like I didn't think about this, but here's the scoop. I'm never folding this hand as played, ever. As far as raising is concerned, I don't feel like worse is ever calling, but better sure is. My opponent says, good call, and I roll my hand over to take this pot down. There's an open to $8. Real quick, I hate this odd dollar amount open. Let's try and do dealer-friendly $5 increments, guys. Anywho, 3 of us see a flop of King Jack 5 2 diamonds. The original raiser bets $12, and we both call. I'm hoping to spike 2 pair of trips here, or maybe an offsuit queen. However, the turn is at 2, it's check to me, I check, and the other player bets and takes it down. I open this bad boy to $5 and get 3 calls. Flopping trip 7s, I have every reason to bet it, but I don't. Partly looking to trap, but also because I'm out of position and a check raise would look pretty sexy. It's check through to the king of spades on the turn. I decide at this point on a bet of $15 when check to, and get 2 calls. I recognize the 3 spades on board, but these guys are playing face up and would probably raise a made flush here. The river is clean, so I bet 35, only seeing 1 call. That player has 7-8 with the 8 of spades, so he was free rolling me the whole way here, but luckily we chop it up with neither kicker playing. And this hand highlights why I keep taking passive actions when flopping monsters at this passive table. I open Jack-Jack to 10 and only get 1 call. On a rainbow King Jack 7 board, I see bet $10 on my opponent's fold. If this was a 2-5 game, I can see bet this liberally and get multiple streets of value, but this 1-2 game is just not that kind of situation. There's a straddle on my left. Cool. We see a couple limps before I pop this up to 20 with ace-jack offsuit and get 3 calls. On a 6-4-3 two-spade flop, I have none of this. I'm out of position and we're multi-way. I check, the player on my left jams for about 50 bucks, and there's a call. I go ahead and get out of the way. Here's pocket sevens again. I open at $10 over a couple of limps, the small blind calls, and now the big blind 3-bets to 30. We haven't seen many 3-bets at this table so far, so this is odd. What's also odd is the sizing. That's a really small raise from the big blind. The limpers fold, I call, and the small blind calls too. On a Jack 6-6 board, the big blind leads for $40, leaving a couple hundred more behind. This seems a bit weak, to be honest, but this guy really hasn't played many hands, so I give him credit and make the fold. This is admittedly a hand I don't care for. Even suited I don't really like it. I want to stay active though, so I open it to $10, get a call, then see a 3-bet to 30 from the button. It's folded to me, and this is the bottom of my opening range in a lot of senses, so this should be a fold right here, but I decide to call, and seat 5 calls too. On an 8-7-2 two-club board, I whiff this and check the flop to see a C-bet from the button. I fold, but kept recording as I was curious about how this went down. There's an ace on the turn. Maybe I should have stuck around? These guys get it all in on the turn. The river is a 6 of clubs, and the button shows down ace-king to win this. That reinforces this hand as a fold to the 3-bet preflop. I open ace-10 suited to $10, which sees 1 call before the small blind now 3-bets to 40. See, that's a better sizing, although with him out of position and us both about $250 or so deep, I could argue for larger. I call. This is a continue all day long, and in more aggressive games, we can even 4-bet this. The other players fold, and we're heads up to a 7-4-3 2-heart flop. My opponent now verbalizes a bet of 120, about half of my remaining stack, and this is also an overbet. Would any of you argue for a fold here? If so, explain in the comments. This opponent 3-bet preflop out of position, which tells me a lot. They're essentially capped at having 1 pair here, and are going to show up with an overpair the vast majority of the time. We can remove most bluffs from his range by having the ace of hearts in my hand, although I suppose hands like ace-king with the king of hearts may continue as well, but I wouldn't expect an overbet sizing from that type of hand. I'm never folding here, but calling doesn't make much sense since we aren't that deep, so I rip it in and get snapped off by pocket kings with no hearts. The board runs out and I do bink that flush on the river. Oh yeah. It's limped around to me and I pop this up to a dealer-friendly $5 to build a pot, and we end up going 5 ways to an ace-high flop with 1 club. I'm first, so I bet $15 for value, which sees 2 calls. On the 5 of club turn, I pick up more equity and fire out another bet of $40, which sees 1 call. On the 3 of hearts river, I have to decide right now if I'm firing or if I'm going to check fold. The obvious front door came in, and we were multi-way, so check fold to a bet it is. Hey look, jacks again. I open to $15 over a couple of limps and get 3 calls. On the jack-high rainbow flop, I bink this, but keep thinking back to c-betting and getting folds, so I check. Seat 5 now bets $10, seat 3 calls, and I call as well. No need to scare them away. The 10 of diamonds turn is one of the worst cards we can see, but betting or calling the flop with 8-9 is not likely. It's checked to me, and I check with the intention of calling or raising a bet, but it's checked around. The river is another 10 pairing the board, and I bet 25 hoping for a crying call, but both players fold. There's a button straddle and 2 calls before I open ace-queen offsuit to $20 to see 2 calls. On a queen-high 2-heart flop, it's checked to me, and c-betting is the right play here. I settle on 35, but both players fold. Maybe I need to bet smaller next time? Or is this another spot where I need to just go ahead and check the flop and hope for to get more value on the turn of the river? Let me know what you think. There's another straddle, a call, and I open ace-king offsuit to $20, which sees 2 calls again. On the queen 10 deuce 2 spade flop, I check to see the player on my left jam for about $40. I call when folded to, bink a king on the turn, but end up getting the bad news. My opponent jammed jack-9 offsuit, which was open-ended, and binked a straight to take this one down. There are a few limps to me, and I raise pocket queens to $15 from the small blind. It's better to go bigger out of position. I only get 1 call from the big blind to see a 9-7-3 all-spade flop. I see bet full pot as my opponent only has about $85 behind, and he ends up folding. I open this hand to a dealer-friendly $5. Someone raises to $25. Three of us see a flop to Queen Jack 10 Rainbow. Not too shabby. I check and flow, and the button bets 25. I make a pretty quick call, although perhaps a raise is better. We're heads up to the turn, which comes an 8, and our opponent now jams as an overbet. I fold here, but this seems like a vulnerable hand. My opponent shows a queen, but only the one card. What do you guys think the other card was? The action certainly picked up there towards the end of that session. It was a great experience stepping back into the two-card streets and reacclimating myself to a variety of strategy concepts that seem to apply liberally to No Limit Holdem, but aren't really a thing in PLO, like checking in flow, linear ranges, and down betting. As a reminder, the Influencer game is going live on Thursday at 6 o'clock on Orange City's YouTube page. Make sure to subscribe to that if you haven't already, and join me in the chat to talk about the hands as we go along. There were plenty of fireworks and a few tough decisions, so I hope to see you there. Thanks again for spending some time with me. I'm Joey Pigtails, and I am transparent, reminding you to be a good human. Bye!